This video and others like this one are possible thanks to viewers like you. Please show your support with a like and subscribe, and be sure to hit the bell notification icon so you don't miss any new videos. If you want to get involved with the channel, consider becoming a channel member. There are many benefits to channel membership, including access to our Discord, exclusive deck tech and strategy videos, and the opportunity to help create channel content. I want to sincerely thank all our channel members, as I truly couldn't do this without your support. You guys rock. Go Commando.
Hello Legion folks, welcome back to Dice Commando. It has been a while since I pumped out a Legion vid, but there's a good reason for that. My good buddy Mike came over, I think it was last weekend, to learn how to play, and I had to kind of rush and get one of my Shore Trooper squads ready so we could have a completely painted army for the guy. So that's where my Legion time has been. So I had a great time with him coming over, and so Mike is an experienced gamer, new to Legion, but experienced gamer. And one of the things that's really cool about teaching an experienced gamer how to play a game like this is they really can often ask really smart questions that challenge your own personal knowledge of the rules and how things work, right? One of the specific questions that came up while we were playing was how weapon keywords applied to dice pools. And while I knew the answer, I didn't actually know the technical answer. I didn't know the reason why. So in today's Legion 101, we're going through attacking, forming dice pools, and applying the weapon keywords. Hey guys, welcome back for today's Legion 101. So we're going to be covering forming dice pools, attacking, and basically what I mean by that is, the cases in which you have a unit with like a heavy weapon or you have somebody with arsenal, and when you are attacking multiple units, right? This diagram right here I'm showing is pulled straight from the rules. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a little bit of chalk talk, just kind of explain the basics of it, and then we're going to go to the table and kind of walk through some practical situations, and then we'll get out of here, right? So what I'm showing right now is actually page 16 from the current 2.0 rules, and I've highlighted various sections, and I don't intend on sitting here and reading the whole thing to you, right? You can do that on your own, you can figure it out on your own, but it's just a good reminder to go through kind of the order in which we do what we do, right? Because I think functionally, and that's what I'm saying is, when you sit down and you have a good player who, an experienced player who's trying to learn, they ask you these good questions, you start to think through the actual steps that a lot of times we'll just kind of blow through that, when we're playing a game that, we're used to, and you kind of shortcut some stuff, right? And what we'll do a lot of times is you're like, all right, all these guys are attacking over here, we'll pick up all the dice, we'll throw them, and, you skip a lot of steps in doing that necessarily, right? So in the actual order is when you declare an attack, you declare the defenders, right? Who are you going to shoot at? You then form your attack pool of who you're shooting at. Now, we then go to step 3 there, which is declare additional defenders, right? If there are any eligible weapons so your unit is declaring an attack, right? That's functionally how it works. You say, my unit's declaring an attack or using an attack action, right? In whatever form it may be. You're going to declare some subset of eligible weapons that can attack one of the target. Now, you may take all the eligible weapons you have available, or you might not. And if you don't, you have an opportunity then within that same action, the same attack, to make sure that each weapon gets to shoot at someone effectively. And that's where we get to step 3, which is declare additional defenders. It says if there are any weapons remaining that have not been added to the attack pool, the player can repeat steps 1 and 2, forming a separate attack pool with the new weapons. And that can include shooting at a different target, right? We know that, right? You can have, your main squad shoot somewhere and the heavy shoot somewhere else. And basically you go through that process over and over. And then what we see here is on the next page, and again, it's, what we're looking at here is attack pool. The attack pool is the number of dice generated from the weapons that are being used during a single target during an attack. And each weapon that contributes to an attack pool also applies its keywords to that attack pool. So in other words, if I'm using a heavy weapon that has a certain keyword to it, it now applies to every die in that pool. And why that's important is it means you don't have to keep track. And that's where the question came up when we were playing was, do I have to keep track of which die, when we have one pool, do I have to keep track of which dice come from which gun? And the answer is no, you don't, right? That keyword goes and it is applied to the entire pool, regardless of which gun it comes from. Right, so that's really the that's the 101 of this is if you're forming one big attack pool, they're all the same, and you add the keywords onto it. If you're breaking it up, then you need to keep track. And it also, of course, matters from using aim tokens, right? And again, remember, going through the technical rules, you apply the one attack, it's done, then you apply the next attack. And a lot of times we'll be like, I'm shooting here. You kind of roll up the dice separately. You'll keep them separate. And then that's where it came up was, well, I have an aim token. Can I use an aim token to reroll one in this pool and one in this pool? No, you cannot, because it would go sequentially, and you have to use the aim token before you move on, right? And then surge tokens are different, right? So anyway, I think we've talked on the actual technical parts of the rules. Let's go over, hit the table, and see if we can make this a little more clear. So in this case, we have a squad of Imperial Shore Troopers. We have 4 normal dudes, and we have a heavy weapon, the T-21 Bravo, which of course brings critical to the table. Now these guys have been issued a face-up order, which means that they've been given our aim token. Now when these guys go to perform an attack action, you can very clearly see there are 2 eligible targets on the table, of course for all of the weapons, right? 1 to 4, 1 to 3 range. So the B1s are well within range of both weapons, as is Cad Bane. These guys, of course, are in heavy cover. Now, let's go ahead and pick target. What we can do here is you can say, okay, the 4 normal dudes will shoot their E-22 at, let's say, the droids. And now the heavy weapon could, if they wanted to, declare an extra target against Cad Bane, or it could combine into the pool going against the B1s. Now with this aim token, in the case where we split, you would have to choose, of course, which attack to use the aim on, right? Of course, remember that technically, as per the rules, the attacks go sequentially, so you do one and then the other. And so in this case, you'd have to choose which pool to put, right? If one going after Cad, one's going after the droids, you'd have to choose which, of course, to use the aim on. You would not be able to reroll one here and reroll one here. Now let's talk about critical, right? When we combine into one pool, the critical can be used on any die in the pool because you don't have to keep track of which die belongs to which. So in this case, let's say we got a surge on one of our black dice. We don't know where that came from, but it's okay because we have critical 1 in that pool. So that surge token becomes a crit, right? Very, very simple. Now in the case, of course, where we had split, the critical 1 would only be applicable to the heavy weapon pool. Simple as that. Now let's consider this situation. We have a full squad of Phase 2 clones equipped with a clone medic and a Z6. Now we, of course, have the same situation we did before. We have our B1s in heavy cover, and we have Cad here. Everyone's well within range of both of these. Now, of course, having reliable, we've gained our surge token, and we're going to assume our boys here picked up an aim token by performing that action beforehand. So we have, again, a very similar situation as we saw before. We have the 5 blacks from each individual guy, and we have the 6 whites from the Z6. So the heavy weapon can either combine with this into one pool, or the heavy weapon can shoot individually. Remember, of course, that these guys as the unit cannot separate their black dice. Now, in the case of the aim token, as we saw before, the aim token would only be able to be used on either one of the pool individually, right? You could reroll 2 here or 2 here, but not 1 from each. The surge token, however, because it's basically spent into, not basically, because it is spent independently, wouldn't really matter in this case whether we combined or whether we rolled separately. You could burn that whenever you wanted to flip one of your surges into what it needs to be. In our final example today, we're going to look at the infamous and ruthless Boba Fett in the Battle of the Bounty Hunters here, right? So we see that Boba has his wrist rockets and his E3 carbine, and remember, he has arsenal too. So when which means he can shoot 2 weapons, of course, during an attack. Each of those eligible weapons gets to choose a different target. So if he wants to, he can split his attack. He can go wrist rockets over here and E3 carbine here, or he could, of course, combine. Now you'll notice the wrist rockets have impact 1. And the E3 carbines have Pierce 1. So of course, as we would expect, if you combine the pool, you again don't have to keep track of the dice. Not a great roll there. But you don't have to keep track of the dice. Impact 1 and Pierce 1 apply to both. If we do, or to all dice in the pool, if we do separate the attack, you obviously only carry the impact to the wrist rocket, and you would carry the Pierce to the E3 carbine. Hey folks, so thanks again for tuning in today. Hopefully this was helpful. It was, one of those things, like I said, you're teaching someone new, and it really challenges your own real technical knowledge of the rules. And it's always great to, go back and look fundamentally at how the actual rules work to what we're used to doing. So anyway, thanks very much for joining me. Hope to see you guys on the table soon, and go Commando.
you.